All right, everyone, Tuesday morning, and we are now into the season, so we can kind of resume the traditional programming on the channel, and that involves me going through a number of your comments based on the last game, St Mirren, on Sunday, so I have a bit more discussion, as I say, get your comments in, various topics covered, and then we'll leave the St Mirren game for good. And I'm not too bothered about that. It wasn't the most amazing match of football. I did rewatch it earlier, and I've got a few kind of maybe slightly altered takes from where they were on the reaction, which was recorded 15 minutes after full time. So we'll do that. A couple of other bits as well, but we're going to start with the UEFA Champions League playoff draw, which was made yesterday. Yes, we now know who stands between us and around £40 million and a place in the league phase of the UEFA Champions League. We kinda know that because it's between two teams. Celtic have been drawn against the winner of the qualifying round 3 tie between Slovan Bratislava and Kairat. So that tie is going to take place over the next couple of midweeks. The first leg, which is in Almaty in Kazakhstan, is a 4 p.m. kickoff tomorrow, Celtic Park time. The second leg in Bratislava is next Tuesday. That's 7:15 p.m. Celtic Park time. So if you want to catch those are the kickoff times. Not sure how you're going to find a stream to watch the games because, why would anywhere be showing Kairat against Slovan Bratislava, to be honest? You might find something online if you want to do a bit of research into the various teams. I'll certainly be trying to find it. Maybe you could get hooked up with NordVPN, I don't know, and set it to Slovakia and find some sort of stream in Slovakia land. I don't know. Anyway, we also have dates for the playoff tie. So the first leg, which is at Celtic Park, will be on Wednesday the 20th of August, 8 p.m. kickoff for that. The second leg, either in Almaty or Bratislava, is the following Tuesday, so the 26th of August. That's currently down for an 8 p.m. kickoff. If it is Kairat that we're playing, that'll be a good few hours earlier, as 8 p.m. Celtic Park time in Almaty is midnight, and I don't see them kicking off at midnight, so it'll be a bit earlier if that's the case. I think either tie has its challenges, maybe slightly different challenges. If it is Kairat we're playing, you've obviously got the logistics of travel, and Almaty's almost half the way from Glasgow to Melbourne. If I was going to go to a Celtic game this season, this would probably be the one I would pick because it's only about, 6,000 miles or something. I think it's 4,000 miles from Glasgow. So yeah, it's a hell of a trek. But saying that, we've been to Kazakhstan, I think 3 times in the past 12 or 13 years. Astana twice, Shakhtar Karagandhi once under Neil Lennon. So there should be enough expertise at the club in terms of Brendan Rodgers, John Kennedy, and also people, who deal with logistics to be able to deal with this and know what's best for the players. I think Slovan would be a difficult tie, maybe for slightly different reasons. Not to say that Kairat are a poor team, and clearly if it's them we play, they'll have proven they're a better team than Slovan. But Slovan, decent experience. We played them in the Champions League last season. We battered them at Celtic Park. I think we all know that over 2 legs it would be a bit different. And if they get through past Kairat, that'll be 6 qualifying ties they've won in a row. So we'd be coming up against a pretty kind of polished team in terms of Champions League qualification anyway, and a team who knows how to win 2-legged ties. So that potential tie against either team would throw up some difficulties. It's going to be a challenge for us. But equally, if we're totally honest about this, if we can't beat either of those sides, quite simply, we don't deserve to be in the league phase. Was just ploughing through some of the reaction in the Slovakian media earlier and pleasantly surprised to see what they're saying. So we had a Sport Web who reckon it's the toughest possible opponent for Slovan. Lots of other stuff which you may say doesn't matter a great deal what people are saying, but for me it is refreshing and kind of positive to hear teams or countries like Slovakia talking about Celtic as being the team that someone like Slovan Bratislava didn't want to draw, which seems a bit different from a number of years ago when Celtic always appeared to be the team, even in qualifying, that teams wanted to draw or certainly weren't feared. But yeah, when you look at how we performed last season in the Champions League and some of the results we got and how close we were on Bayern Munich, certainly ourselves and I think Bodo Glimt, who reached the semis of the Europa League, would have been the two top teams that the unseeded sides would have wanted to avoid. There's also the matter of Celtic having the option of postponing the league match in between the two legs of this playoff tie. So you may have caught this. I mentioned it on the channel back in early April when it was announced, but basically the SPFL have brought in a new policy which is aimed at helping the Scottish teams that are playing in European qualification. And quite simply, any Scottish side who plays in the final round of qualification for any of the three tournaments, so the playoff round, has the opportunity or the option to request the postponement of their Matchday 3 Premiership fixture without needing the consent of the opposition. Now, for us, that match is Livingston at Celtic Park on Saturday, the 23rd of August. So we can call that game off without needing Livy's consent. And let's face it, David Martindale probably wouldn't give us the consent anyway. So that's all good. No real noise from Celtic yet on whether they're going to take up this option or not. I get the arguments both ways. It's hard to know. You hear people saying it's better just to get more matches under our belt and get up to speed. For me, I probably come down on the side of probably wanting Celtic just to postpone that Livingston game. Just to kind of give us the best chance possible. I take the point we should be beating either of these teams, even if we don't postpone that Livingston game, but just to lessen any sort of impact of potential injuries and just knowing the situation with guys like Alistair Johnson and Cameron Carter-Vickers and Kieran Tierney, key players who have kind of slight question marks over their fitness in the early part of the season. So I think it would make sense just to move that Livingston game. I know the concern is then it might get moved to later on in the season. We'd end up with a bit of a fixture pile-up. I was looking and the SPFL have already said that any rescheduled matches would be going in as soon as possible. So we would play the Livingston game before the end of September. So it's not as if it would be like falling away back later in the season. So there'll be no dramas there. I know Aberdeen have already taken up the option to postpone their Matchday 3 fixture. Not sure if there's any sort of cut-off for this. I guess there will be, but I think we'll probably find out in the next week or so, certainly, if Celtic will be doing that. Pretty relaxed either way. So yeah, regardless, we should be winning that playoff tie. Just on Scottish football stuff, and not something you say every day, but an excellent prediction from Stevie on yesterday's video ahead of the Hearts-Aberdeen game.
I'm going to go with a Hearts win for that. I think Hearts will be a force to be reckoned with this season. I think Hearts will do well, and I think they'll win 2-0.
Yes, a 2-0 win for Hearts it was to round off the opening week, and the Premiership table looks like this after one fixture round. So yeah, we are down in third place, so we're not top this early on. You've got Hearts and Hibs top of the table, Rangers all the way down in ninth. Obviously very, very early days. Next up for us is bottom placed Aberdeen on Sunday lunchtime. Now, is today the day for the announcement of Jemai Simpson-Pusey? Well, quite possibly, but we probably would have said that yesterday as well. Just for any of you that are getting ever so slightly worried that this deal isn't going to happen, don't be worried. He was at Celtic Park on Sunday in the Celtic gear, and Brendan Rodgers did say after the game that the club are just waiting on clearance for this deal. So, yeah. Should be announced today, I would think, and we can move on from that. Yeah, in terms of Sunday, as I said, I rewatched the game earlier, and as is often the case, I think when you watch the game and strip away the emotion and tension from when you're watching it live, yeah, viewed the game slightly differently, I think. I'm not going to come out and say Celtic were breathtaking or anything like that, but yeah, I thought at times we played some decent football. first half especially, I thought Kieran Tierney was just brilliant in that first half. Probably didn't appreciate that enough watching it at the time, just how much of a kind of attacking threat and a creative spark he was for us in that first half. Could really have had 3 assists, especially he had 2 crosses for Adam Ida. One that Ida kind of does all right and heads it at the goalkeeper, and then another that he heads over the bar. But just really good from Kieran Tierney. He had a shot, or a couple of shots as well, I think. One he kind of flashed wide. And yeah, just evidence of what an important player he's going to be for us this season. I think his relationship with Yamada clearly needs a bit of work, but I think there's enough evidence there already that when those two have or get more minutes together and get on the same wavelength, I think they're going to be pretty devastating up that wing. Tierney clipping the ball over, a bit like Greg Taylor used to do. Dyson just always looking to run long, and I think also having the option of Dyson cutting inside and KT going in the overlap could make for some really, good moves down that left-hand side. So pleased with that. Thought that was a real kind of positive Tierney's performance. Alistair Johnson probably a bit better than I thought as well. Interesting that he's still playing that kind of inverted role, and he really comes in the pitch, whereas Tierney's very much just an up and down left back. So that was interesting to watch as well. A few of you in the comments bringing up Liam Scales' performance, and I think that's warranted as well. I thought Liam Scales and Cameron Carter-Vickers had a pretty good game. For as much as our attacking football at times, I just thought was a little disjointed. The midfield didn't quite function. I thought McGregor was all right. Hatate was getting involved, but that final pass just wasn't coming off at all for Hatate, but that's fine. Nygren, a little bit disappointing, but it was his first game, and maybe the physicality of Scottish football, just getting up to speed with that. As much as the front three probably struggled, especially Yang. I thought the defence was really solid, and I think generally our defence, I feel quite good about our defence, especially with JSP coming in probably to start next to CCV. I think we've got really kind of solid foundations. We just need some attackers, quality attackers to go with it. Matthew Rossi, first up, Matthew, you have the honour of leading us this season, saying, good to hear from Stevie again. I take that back, Matthew. Take all of what I just said back. Don't start with that. No, it was good to see Stevie back. See, we're being nice to each other now. That's a big change. See how long it lasts. Anyway, I thought Johnson was really good yesterday, along with KT and Scales. McGregor was solid too, but the rest were below par. Was looking forward to seeing Nygren, but he was disappointing. Early days though, good draw in the Champions League qualifier. I hope that doesn't prevent the board from addressing the squad. Yeah, on your Nygren point, as I just said a minute ago, I thought, yeah, I mean, it was a strange one because he looked, so good in pre-season, right up for it straight away, and he was forming a really good partnership with Hatate. And yeah, maybe just kind of the physicality of Scottish football the weekend got him slightly. It was just a little bit off it, but it was just one of those days. Big deal for him as well, playing potentially in front of the biggest crowd of his career. Don't know. I mean, sometimes we kind of play that stuff down because we're used to it, but yeah, big deal, and he's certainly in my team for Pittodrie, and hopefully we can start to just see that quality of it. No doubt he's going to be excellent for us. Willie Larson, I don't understand the criticism. St Mirren had 11 men in the box who are big physical guys. We should be highlighting the never give up attitude. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that never giving up stuff, because yeah, it's important we have that. The clock was ticking down on Sunday and Celtic kept playing their stuff, and I don't know how you felt, but I thought it was interesting that even though it wasn't as if we were peppering the St Mirren goal or even playing particularly well in that second half, but I still always felt we would get that goal. And I mean, the winner goes in, 87 minutes, something like that. So it was kind of one of the later goals we've had at Celtic Park in a number of years. Certainly last season in the league, I don't think we had anything, nearly as late as that. As I said on yesterday's video, famously last season, we every game we won in the league at home was by at least 2 goals. So we didn't have a single 1-goal victory. So yeah, scoring late on to win a game certainly wasn't something that happened last year. But Yeah, watching the game back, and Celtic Park did seem to go pretty mad, both with Callum McGregor's goal that was disallowed and Luke McCowan's deflected strike. So, and I thought that the fans stuck with the team as well, which was pretty good considering it wasn't an amazing performance, and also the kind of negative stuff that's hard to avoid at the club at the moment. But yeah, credit to the team. I thought the fact they stuck with it was good, and that's obviously something we kind of take for granted now, but they always seem to find a way. Right, Kelly is going with a controversial opinion. Oh, she's saying Brendan's best signing is Luke McCowan. Yeah, it's probably not as outrageous a shout as you maybe kind of think when you first read that. I think I'd probably go for, if we're talking second spell at Celtic, you'd probably go with Kasper Schmeichel, potentially Kieran Tierney. Obviously, we've not seen enough of Tierney to warrant that second time round yet. But yeah, I mean, I think it kind of hits on a larger point that is the team that we watch every week at the moment. I think in the main, we're still kind of relying, the players we're really reliant on are kind of mainly from the Ange era, and we're signed by Ange, like Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Reo Hatate, Daizen Maeda. Obviously, like Callum McGregor's a bit further back than that, a good bit further back. I think Brendan Rodgers really needs a couple of big Brendan Rodgers players to come in before the end of the window. Guys that we can rely on that he's brought in, because we're not at that point yet with any of his signings, really, certainly from last year. Trusty, Engels, Bernardo, Ida. They're not the guys we really rely on. A lot of them don't even start for us at the moment. So, yeah, it's a little bit of an issue, I would say. I think we could do with some big Brendan signings before the end of the window. I guess that's what he wants as well, and that's what this whole drama is about, the fact we've not got any real kind of big first team signings, but 2 or 3 of them would make just such a big difference, because as I say, just to repeat what I just said, it does feel like we're still kind of reliant on a lot of the players Ange brought to the club, and that's at least 2 years ago now for them. Right, next up we've got Right Gid Laugh. This will surely be funny based on that username. Oh no. Ida was dreadful yesterday. Lord, I've tried, but he is just not good enough. Nowhere near it. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, bit of a kind of awkward one with Adam Ida at the moment. Because again, it's not, for me, I don't think it's a case of Ida being absolutely hopeless. I know some of you will feel like that, but he's not absolutely hopeless. I mean, he scored 20 goals for us last year. You don't do that if you're, absolutely hopeless. We've had absolutely hopeless strikers in the past. Ida isn't one of them. He's also not a starting Celtic striker, or he shouldn't be in that position, and he is in that position at the moment. I think in an ideal world, Adam Ida is probably second choice Celtic striker behind someone who, is proven like Kyogo, or, someone we might sign, and Ida can still play a number of games like he did last season, and probably start a number of games and can be quite effective for us, but we're just less reliant on him because, yeah, like his all-round game, like the goal scoring isn't a massive issue. I know he had some chances at the weekend, probably more chances than I'd realised actually. I think he had a couple of headed chances from Tierney crosses in the first half. He had a kind of a scuffed effort from Nygren, and a couple other ones. That one in the second half where he chests it and hits the post and probably should score, a big opportunity. Having said that, it's the goals aren't a real issue for me. It's like his overall play and his build-up play, and him never really looking like he's got control of the ball is an issue. And you just feel with like a better striker, Celtic could be a better team. So I think there's a role for Ida, probably Celtic's second striker, but I'll be honest, I do have the fear that we're maybe not going to sign a striker. Right, a couple of more comments before I go. We've got Pop Gauze just asking about Yamada, saying, is Brendan Rodgers snubbing Yamada and Inamura because they are club signings only grudgingly endorsed by Brendan Rodgers? So Johnny Kenny came on before Shin Yamada at the weekend. As I said, I wasn't massively happy about that at the time. I get it, I understand it, because like Brendan Rodgers has talked up Johnny Kenny a lot, and Johnny Kenny played, a decent part in pre-season and was fairly good in pre-season. just for me, Yamada appears to have more to his game and has done more in the past. And I'd want Yamada to be that second choice striker. I thought there was something quite exciting there with Yamada. Could be that Brendan Rodgers just doesn't rate him at this point. I would hope that it's not a case of like Yamada being a club signing and Brendan Rodgers looking at it and going, yeah, I'm not going to play them to make some sort of point. I would really hope that isn't the case. Inamura didn't even make the bench on Sunday, which again, isn't ideal for a summer signing. Still question marks over what Inamura's position is. I think everyone's kind of assumed he's a left back. I still personally think he's going to be a centre back, and he was just playing left back during pre-season because we didn't have any other left backs, and it made kind of sense to get him some game time there because he played at centre back in Japan for the past 2 years. So I think he's going to be a centre back. Where he fits into our options, really not sure. But yeah, on the shin stuff, just not an ideal situation. Just finally, John CL. Kieran was involved more than anyone in the first half, probably because it was becoming pointless going down the right with Yang. No wonder he got cramp and tired in the first real game. As I said earlier, I thought Kieran Tierney was excellent in the first half. But yeah, we need to sign another left back. Just going back to my Inamura point, it was very obvious from Kieran Tierney at the weekend that, he's going to be a great player for us, but also he's going to have, points this season, fairly, regular points where he's not going to be able to play for us. And that's with kind of the first game of the season and just weekend football at the moment. And we can't have Liam Scales as being the backup left back. Like Liam Scales, I know he's played there and he was maybe signed as a left back. Liam Scales is not a left back. He's a centre back, and he was very good at centre back at the weekend. He should not be our backup left back. Celtic need to, if it's very obvious that Kieran Tierney isn't going to be able to play all the time, and, that was obvious before, it's even more obvious after the weekend, we need to go out there and sign another left back, because it's clearly not going to be Inamura if he's not even making the bench on Sunday. So I don't know. Trying not to spiral here. I do despair sometimes when we just go into the competitive stuff and you've got Liam Scales playing left back, Have I mentioned that Celtic need to sign some players? That's maybe the bombshell that I'll leave you with. Celtic need to sign some players. Maybe the club can actually set about doing that. Yeah, final thoughts on Sunday. Job done, basically. Clearly hoping for a better performance. I think Saturday against Aberdeen is, I think it's going to be tough at Pittodrie. Sorry, Sunday the game is. I think it's going to be a tough match for us. Didn't think they were particularly good from what I saw of the game at Tynecastle last night. But, it's Aberdeen and we only have to look at our last meeting with them at Hampden to realise that they can be pretty difficult opposition. So, yeah, hoping Celtic can get up to speed. Just very basic for me, though. We need quality. We need attacking quality. As I say, we need to add a second choice left back to the list as well. So I think that's me. If we get JSP in, hopefully that's announced today, back to 4 players, second choice left back, first choice right winger, left winger, potentially a loan, as I've said, and we need a first choice striker. Get all that done in the final 4 weeks or so of the window, and this can be a really good season. In fact, get it done earlier than the last 4 weeks of the window. That's quite important with a big Champions League tie coming up. Chat to you tomorrow, everyone.